A combination of artistic sets and studio backdrops, January's Naveka, which translates roughly to Forever, featured Caroline Winberg and encompassed a wide variety of contrasting styles, amongst them sharply tailored to flowing gypsy, denim, and feminine dresses. But the movement photographer Andreas Schadin captured was what really made the shoot stand out.
With wild, windblown curls and also 2009 outfits of jewels-encrusted, studded, and tribal-inspired pieces, not one but 4 models hit the pages of W Magazine's February issue. Mert and Marcus were behind the lens, and used striking black and white photography to command our attention. With a dash of sensual nudity and some playful poses, it was as much the well-portrayed emotion of the models as anything else that made this the top shoot for February 2009.
Sheer fantasy and framing perfection are ways to describe 2 shoots that caught our eye in March 2009. Declaring the month a tie, our first nod goes to Tim Walker's pictorial for Vogue UK. With recent fashions relying heavily on 1920s and 1930s influence, its use of an iconic Spitfire and vintage motifs gave the year a much-needed 1940s infusion. In a very different vein, Down with Shame, photographed by Alistair McClellan for Vogue Russia, didn't feature a great level of detail, but its framing, contrast, and simplicity all perfectly showed Natasha Polly's true colours as the strongest and most versatile model of the current generation.
Though health organizations pray for the opposite, smoking is still considered by many to be both sexy and cool. Smoking while pregnant and holding a baby, however, neither cool nor sexy. And that's precisely the situation British model Lily Donaldson featured in April 2009's Vogue Paris. Titled, No Smoking, neither the pregnancy nor the baby was real, but the same couldn't be said for the pictorial's ability to annoy family groups. It was photographed by Patrick de Machelier and styled by Corinne Rotfeld.
The Cape Crusader may have gone on to feature in French Revue de Mode later in the year, but in May, Polish-Canadian model Daria Werbowy became our first action hero for 2009. Styled by Emmanuel Alt, the pictorial featured Daria throwing punches and embedding cowboy boots into a mixture of chaps who, though twice her size, were seemingly no match. While pictorials often have something to do with clothing, this shoot is striking not for its bikini or denim, but the sheer audacity of the concept and Daria's perfectly toned body.
We simply couldn't go past the fashion and the fantasy from Vogue Italia. Malgosia Bella features amidst fantastical palace backdrops and fairy tale soldiers, and the resulting series of photos is both charming and dreamlike. An honourable mention for June 2009 goes to Numero's pool service with Missy Rader. The standout thing about this shoot? It's been one of the many to include nudity, but one of the few to focus on the male aspect.
What it lacked in colour, it made up in stunning contrast. Sweet Child of Mine, from July 2009's Vogue Nippon, first caught our eye for its infusion of 2009's leather fashion trend. And while the leather pieces included everything from corsets to bras, it didn't include any over-sexualized iconography nor nudity. Surprising, given it was photographed by Terry Richardson and featured Australian model Abbey Kershaw.
Patrick de Marchelier's Femme Fatale doesn't fall short of its title. Expertly shot and perfectly styled to epitomize the mainstream popularity of fetish fashion in 2009, Catherine McNeil has never looked quite so striking. De Marchelier proves that ornate backdrops aren't a requirement of a great shoot, when movement, lighting, and shadows can be played upon to create drama and form. Meanwhile, we couldn't let Vogue UK get away without an honourable mention for the month. De Marchelier again, using black and white photography to capture the mood. This time, Lily Donaldson is the playful coquette in feminine outfits, posed against Paris's cityscapes.
September 2009 belonged to Spanish Elle. While March saw us declare a tie between editorials from 2 different magazines, September's Elle stood out for including 2 striking pictorials, both featuring model Flavia de Oliveira. These shoots stood out in the year that saw fashion editorials largely defined by their lack of clothing. In stark contrast, Flavia's shots relied on classic styling. Catherine Deneuve, Belle Dame, photographed by Mario Sierra, captured the classic beauty of Deneuve without relying on any stereotypes to communicate a sense of era, while the issue's Greta Garbo-inspired shoot, lensed by Pascal Chevalier, evoked an unmistakable nostalgia of the interwar period.
Masha Novoselova stars in our top editorial for October 2009, which won our vote with its distinctly vintage feel. A breath of fresh air from the many crisply photographed editorials of our day, Fabio Chisola's shoot for Vogue Spain, titled Emmanuel, had us digging up the 1974 soundtrack from the infamous erotic film of the same name.
Clearly taking cues from the classics of the film noir genre, Vogue Italia presented Lara Stone as the ultimate femme fatale in November 2009. With lingerie as outerwear, 1940s styling, and numerous hair color changes, Lara was the perfect modern take on the classic screen siren. And while April's editorial with Lily Donaldson may have raised questions around the appeal of smoking, this shoot had Lara with cigarette holder in hand, drawing us right back to the smoking is sexy mentality.
Inspired by the Metropolitan Opera's production of Hansel and Gretel, Little Girl and Boy Lost from US Vogue was our pick for December 2009. Photographed by Annie Leibovitz, the pictorial generated serious buzz courtesy of it featuring model Lily Cole and fashion extremist Lady Gaga. It was, however, the perfectionist touches added by stylist Grace Coddington that made this shoot stand out. The near-unending flattery that has been directed at Coddington in the wake of the premiere of the September issue seemed wholly justified in the light of yet another quality editorial.
In Melbourne, for Fashionising.com, I'm Daniel P. Dykes.
And I'm Alan Barger.